Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. My name is Kristen Van Tilburg, and today we're going to look at a problem that many people have during the holidays with a situation we call loneliness. So, a lot of the way that we have been taught to think about loneliness is very disempowering. And I think that there's a way to use your words around this situation of longing or having a deep desire for connection that's much more empowering than setting up an identity for yourself of saying, I'm lonely. So let's dive right into it. The holidays amplify our emotional states, right? Whether our emotions are positive or negative or a mixed bag, everybody, many people feel a heightened range of emotions during the holidays, or if that's not the case, a feeling of depression or numbness might take over and you feel actually very little at all. And none of these things are very enjoyable. So the question is, what is it that this yearning to connect is trying to tell us? And how can we use it in a way that's empowering? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Um, wanting connection is part of the human experience, and the desire to be connected is a healthy thing. People that have no desire to connect are probably pretty depressed or even worse. And this is not a healthy way to be. So this feeling, this normal feeling of wanting connection is something that we can embrace. But oftentimes this can come up, and it did for me, as a feeling of heartache. As many of you know that have been following me, my mother died in August, and this is the first time that I'm facing a holiday season without her. And it's painful. And there's aching, and I feel it in my heart area. There's heartache for me. But it didn't come into my mind that I was lonely. And what I decided to do about it when I really got still and noticed my own heartache was to take effective action to be building new connection or stronger connection in places where I'm already connected. And so for me, this, instead of being something that was like a spiral that pulled me down into a feeling of depression, it actually became a very empowering experience that I've had. And that's what I wanted to share with you. So when you feel the desire to connect, that's a healthy thing. But when you interpret it through words that say, I'm lonely, now you're setting yourself up to be a lonely person. You're creating an identity that's associated with loneliness. And this may be different for you, but in my experience of working with women, when you call yourself lonely and set yourself up as I'm a lonely person, instead of motivating you to connect, it actually motivates you to withdraw. This begins to show up as a wound and something that you are likely to feel protective about. And because you don't want that wound to be exacerbated, you pull back, you withdraw, you isolate more. And so that puts you in a cycle of feeling even more lonely and even more withdrawn and even more lonely and even more withdrawn. And it doesn't lead to a good place. So, how can you deal with it in a different way? I think that this desire for connection is actually an expression of our life force because we are all of us on planet Earth, the 8 billion people and the trillions of other life forms, organisms, plants, animals, we're all on this planet Earth, hurtling through space somewhere. And so, this desire to feel part of that, to feel intimately interwoven with that, I think this is part of our life force, and it's something that we can honor and value. It's not something that we have to push away. But the thing is, what can you do with it when you experience it that becomes more life affirming and gives you a greater sense of connection? Now, the reason that you might want to really take this on, other than maybe just it makes sense to you, but I have discovered through research that the feeling of loneliness actually accelerates the aging process. It stimulates these hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, which take the body into inflammation, and that leads to illness, and that leads in bad places. But the desire for connection, and as you connect, creates oxytocin in the body and growth hormone in the body. And these things are vitalizing and will help you to feel more alive. So, when you feel this desire for connection, and I predict that it's going to come up for you during the holidays. When you feel that, ask yourself, what can I do to connect today? What's one little step that I can take to be more connected today? So I had this happen over Thanksgiving, and I did three things. The first was to go to one of these angel trees in a mall and pick out a tag for an 82-year-old woman. And I bought the gifts that she asked for. And in a way, even though this I'll never meet this woman, I felt a connection with my mom because I was doing something for an elderly woman and I had fun doing it, and I imagined her delight in receiving gifts that she had asked for, and knowing that somebody that she never met has been out in the world shopping for her and imagining her and trying to find gifts that I think and hope that she'll like and suit her. So that was a connection. Now, it was a little bit more distant because I haven't met this person, but it actually, I think, connected my heart to her heart. And it kind of goes to show that we don't actually have to have a physical connection in order to be connected. I'm connected to that woman. She's going to wear clothes that I picked up off of a shelf and wrapped for her and sent to her. So when she wears those clothes, and maybe every time she wears those clothes, she'll remember that somebody had her best interest at heart and desired to give her a nice Christmas. So connection. The second thing I did is an acquaintance that I had met on Zoom through a business networking situation came into my mind as somebody that I might like to be friends with. So I had her phone number through this group, and I texted her and reminded her who I was and said, I'd really like to get to know you better. Do you have any interest in that? And this was a little bit risky, and it felt a little bit funny to me to do this, a total stranger. We don't really know each other. But I did it, and I figured, if she doesn't reply or she replies and says no thanks, I can live with that. It won't kill me. So I did. I reached out, and instead of rejecting me, I got a really nice text message back, and we're going to have a Zoom call in the coming week and just spend some time getting to know one another better. So that was really nice. And then the third thing I did was I reached out to a friend that I haven't been in contact with in a while and said, you know what, we've let too much time go by. Let's connect. And so it actually worked out in a funny way that she was awake at 4 in the morning and I was still up. She lives in England, so there's a huge time gap there. But she was up early and I was up late, and it just worked out that we were able to have a really nice phone call. And and that heart connect that we always have that never goes away, no matter how much time goes by in between phone calls, was already there. And it just the flame of it really got stoked up by this call. So within a short amount of time, I actually was able to really increase my sense of connection. And I have some plans to do even more of that during the holiday season. So, what I want to leave you with is a way to take this feeling that you might be right now calling loneliness and begin to redefine it for yourself as a desire to connect. And instead of calling it I'm lonely, say my life force is reaching out, wants me to reach out. My body, actually, this was another key point for me is my body. I felt this ache in my heart. My body was asking for this connection. And so labeling it that way, I'm feeling a desire to connect. And then just put your hand on your heart or wherever this desire for connection is and say, what's something little, something totally doable that I can do today to feel a deeper connection with either myself, life in general, life all around us, or another person or persons. And you'll find, I think, that if you'll take that step, whatever it is, that that feeling will be diminished. And and if you share about this with other people and be part of it's almost like a random act of kindness, to just reach out. What if your sense of connection just comes from opening a door for somebody whose arms are loaded down with bags at the grocery store or at the shopping mall? If you identify that as connection, you can find that such a simple thing, such a random act of kindness, can actually be quite a joyous experience. And joy is one of the secrets to being youthful. This sense of wonderment about the world that we live in and life as a expression is is meant to be joyful. So give that a try this week and please leave me a comment and let me know how it worked for you. Thank you so much for connecting with me today. See, we're connecting. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that you're here. And I want you to know that I care for you. I love you, even though we haven't met, even though I don't know your name. It might sound funny to you, but I want you to know that I do this podcast as a way of connecting with people that want to share this joyful journey that I'm on of discovering youthing secrets and sharing youthing secrets and building what I hope will eventually become a movement of a culture. We can create a culture together that says aging, the default aging program is not for me. I am going to enliven my body by the way that I live my life, a youthing lifestyle. So I hope that's attractive to you and that I'll see you next time. Big hugs. Bye for now.